Welcome to Life Planning 101, brought to you by Smart Money Group and Kennedy Financial Services in Eastland, Texas. Tune in every week as we share important information to help you and your family live life on purpose. Insurance, investments, legacy and tax planning, and much more. All covered now on Life Planning 101.
Welcome to Life Planning 101 and Happy New Year! Well, we're going to start off the year with a bang here on Life Planning 101, and I want to tell you about the smartest people in the world. Yes, the smartest people in the world. So there was a doctor, a lawyer, a little boy, and a priest, and they went on a little Sunday afternoon flight on a small private plane, and all of a sudden the plane got shaky and developed a little engine trouble, and the pilot did his best, but he said, "This is going down." And so he grabbed his parachute and he yelled to everyone else. He says, you better jump. I'm jumping. And he went. Well, unfortunately, there were only 3 parachutes remaining. And remember, there were a doctor, a lawyer, a little boy, and a priest. So the doctor grabbed one of them and he said, "I'm a doctor. I save lives, so I must live." And he jumped out. The lawyer then said, "I'm a lawyer, and lawyers are the smartest people in the world. I deserve to live." So he grabbed one and jumped out. Then the priest looked at the little boy and he said, "My son, I have lived a long and full life. You are young and you have your whole life ahead of you. Why don't you take the last parachute and live in peace?" The little boy handed back the parachute to the priest and said, "Not to worry, Father. The smartest man in the world just took off with my backpack." So, yes, the smartest people in the world. And that brings us to our title for today. If you only knew what I knew, right? It sounds a bit cliche. How many times have you heard that? If you only knew. And I want to pose a question with you. If this statement, if you only knew, was said to your children, how would you end it? If you only knew and you said it to your grandchildren, how would you end it? If you only knew and it was said to your successor or your apprentice, how would you end it? If you only knew and it was said to your coworkers or young coworkers, how would you end it? My bet is, as I asked those questions, the answers came fairly quick. There was probably a little face that popped up or a name that popped up, and you thought of 1 to 2 to 3 to a million things that you could say to everybody, right? We've always got advice for everyone. There's no doubt. It's easy to do that. It's easy to be on the outside and look at someone else's situation for what it is, unemotionally attached to it. And maybe we're emotionally attached to it, but most of the time we're unemotionally attached to most of it. We're like, man, if they only knew about this, or if they would only be doing this. And, you know, we've all got the best advice for everybody else but ourselves, right? So the interesting thing about this, if you only knew, quote unquote, is that as we age, the ending to that statement just becomes longer, right? The longer you live, the more you're going to have to add to that for your children or for your grandchildren or for your apprentice or successor in business or for your coworkers or whomever it is in your life. It is wisdom that gets us there, that makes that statement longer. And wisdom is a funny thing, right? Because wisdom is something we treasure as we move forward in life. I think we treasure it because most of it is gained through hard circumstances. We get passionate about wanting to impart wisdom on other people that we love. And then there's the part that we've gained little by little, or we've gained it because we've actually had what's called intentional humility. In other words, we knew we weren't wise in an area, so we intentionally sought out that wisdom from someone else, or truly listened to the preacher in the pulpit, truly listened to those teachers. Or my goodness, you see all those towels that you get, are funny little towels and says, "Mama was right." Oh my gosh, was she right? I got 2 boys and I call them search and destroy, and I know every bit she was right. And I wasn't willing to listen any when I was young, right? We've all been there. We've all done it. So wisdom is something that we truly treasure. Now, I want to stop for a second, and I want to ask you a different question. Have you ever stopped and asked what wisdom that someone else has that they would want to convey to you at this stage in your life? Really think about that. What would someone else want to tell you if they were on the outside looking in? What wisdom could they impart on your life? Maybe this someone is just someone off the street. Maybe it's your predecessor, if they were still around or are still around. Better yet, what about your mentor or your coach? What about your advisors? Your life planner, right? What about your parents? What about your grandparents? What wisdom would they want to impart into your life right now? I'm going to leave you with that question. We're going to take a quick break on Life Planning 101. And when we come back, if you only knew. Welcome back to Life Planning 101 on this New Year's episode. And boy, do I have some New Year's resolutions for you. Everybody knows I like a little bit of humor if you listen to Life Planning 101. And I just got a few chuckles out of these top 15 New Year's resolutions for the year. Number 1, may all your troubles last as long as your New Year's resolutions. That's a good one for most people. A New Year's resolution is something that goes in one year and out the other. Yes, my New Year's resolution is start buying lottery tickets at a luckier store. Love that one. My New Year's resolution is 1080px. Yeah. My New Year's resolution is to stop hanging out with people who ask me about my New Year's resolution. Well, that might be a good one if you don't have one for sure, but we're going to fix that right here on Life Planning 101. And if you don't want one, I recommend you don't stay around because we've got some really good stuff to share. Number 8, and I'm just kind of skipping around here. I will avoid taking a bath whenever possible and conserve more water. That is awful. I will not tell the same story at every get-together. That reminds me a little bit of my dad. I can poke a fun every once in a while. Number 11, I will think of a password other than the word password. Yeah, that's tough. As you get older, it's just tougher to remember those things. I will do less laundry and use more deodorant. Oh, that is awful. I will no longer waste time reliving my past. Instead, I will spend it worrying about the future. These are awful. Humorpedia.com. But let's get to it. We were talking about if you only knew. And I left you with a very serious question before the break about, what would someone tell you at this stage in your life? Whether it be your predecessor, your mentor, your coach, your advisors, your parents, your grandparents. What wisdom would they want to impart on you at this stage in your life? And maybe you don't even know. But I have a question. Are you seeking it? Sometimes we get to this point in life where we're either so busy or we just don't care to grow anymore. And we can't stop growing because you know what happens if we stop growing? Yep, you got it. So I read a piece recently, and this was done by an article. Is the guy's name is Jeffrey DeWolf. He's really interesting. He coaches for leadership, coaches for companies, does a lot of HR stuff, which I found funny that this is where this article came from. But he does have some good articles and podcasts and very good information. And he gave this piece on the types of humility, that there are 4 of them. Humility, okay? Number 1 is natural humility, which that's just something that you're born with. You constantly think of other people and just want to, be part of the greater good and help everyone else out. And you have no ego whatsoever, and you're not stubborn, and you're open all the time. And the more he started describing this natural humility trait, I was like, does anybody really have all of that? I don't know. I mean, if they're blessed with that, wow, to them. Jesus, I guess, yes, that would be the answer. Number 2 is humbled humility. We all understand that, right? We've all been there, done that, man. I've been humiliated. I've been humbled to cause humility. We all know what that feels like. And it's probably one of the most painful things to go through, but it is probably one of the greatest gains that we get in life is to be humbly humiliated. Then there is contrived humility, which is basically fake humility. When people do this for show, they say I'm humbled and they talk about it, or they may say it and you're on the outside and you're like, I don't know that you're really that humble of a person, right? And is anyone, back to that natural humility statement. So then there's this 4th thing, and it's called intentional humility, okay? So as Jeffrey said, you're either humble or you aren't. So if you aren't, then what do? There's the old adage that a tiger really can't change its stripes. And that's very true, because in Jeffrey's words, intentional humility requires that we acknowledge our tendency to be self-centered, arrogant, and impatient. Ooh, I own that one. It's owning who we are and putting specific strategies in place to behave more humbly. Think about that. First of all, you have to acknowledge that you need it. Yeah. Remember what we always say, progress starts by telling the truth, right? So acknowledge our tendency to be self-centered, arrogant, and impatient. And then secondly, putting specific strategies in place to behave more humbly. Now, why are we talking about this humility thing? If you just joined us on Life Planning 101, we're talking about the statement, if you only knew. And all that wisdom that you want to impart on others when you're looking at their situation from the outside in, whether it's your children, your grandchildren, your successor, apprentices, coworkers, whoever that might be, and then actually stopping and backing up for a second and asking yourself, who would want to impart wisdom on me? And why would they want to impart wisdom on me in this stage in my life? And we do that because we love someone. So what if your parents or grandparents? What about your advisors, your coaches, your mentors? What would they say to you at this stage in life if they could be candid, if you were open to receiving just true guidance, true wisdom? And really, if you think about that, the fact that we're so dang self-centered, arrogant human beings to think that we don't need that every day, day in, day out. My gosh, we need it. We stink so bad. Just like Zig Ziglar always said, everybody needs a dash of motivation. It's like a daily shower because you start to stink when it wears off. This is no different than that. We all need to take the humble seat and get advice every single day, because if we're not growing, you know what we're doing. We're dying. Yet, why do we do that? Why do we get to this stage in life that we start to think we know everything to give everybody else advice, and we stop getting it for ourselves? We stop seeking it for ourselves. You know what I found the interesting thing is, the more humble that you are, the more open that you are, the more people that are willing to give you advice because they're not scared to do it. Everybody's always scared to open their mouth in fear of, walking on eggshells, whatever you want to call it. If you open that door for them, it makes it a little easier. And if you're honest and receive that constructive criticism and do it in a way with grace and gratitude rather than, right? I mean, that's kind of how we do, especially when it comes around our family. Ooh, that's the toughest. And we know it. So yeah, I kind of hit you in the face. I feel like I got one of those tortillas and we're having that tortilla slap game. By the way, if you haven't seen that, it's absolutely hilarious. But, I feel like we just got one of those tortillas out and it's like, okay, pay attention to this. Pay attention to this, because I'm going to give you something that is so incredibly powerful. It could literally set your life on a course that there is no looking back. So when we come back on Life Planning 101, if you only knew. Welcome back to Life Planning 101. My name is Angela Robinson. Happy New Year. This is our New Year's episode. And as always, we like to impart a bit of wisdom, which is ironic because that's what we're talking about, is being open to a little bit of wisdom. And with that, I do want to welcome everyone to our website, www.kennedy-financial.com. I'd love to hear from you. Just connect with us. Give us your comments, your feedback about the show, about the weekly life lessons that we put out in those articles, what you would like to see, what we could do different, what we're not doing that we should be doing. We are open. We do want to continue to grow, and we truly want good, candid feedback. We're not just looking for oh, it's great, love it every week. No, we really want to know how we can get better. So please feel free to put your comments in, or if you know one of our email addresses, you can certainly email us. Email us at lifeplanning@kennedy-financial.com, and make sure that you're listening in every week. And we've got some great stuff, obviously, or we think it's great stuff, but it is all about life planning. And we certainly enjoy also our fourth episode every week, where we bring on our in-house CFA and his team, and our CFP, Matt Irvin, and they go through what's going on in the markets. And I know that's a big deal for today's times. But we're back to our episode talking about if you only knew, and how important it is to gain a perspective and be intentionally humble. Realize that you are naturally an arrogant, self-centered, and impatient human being. As Jeffrey D. Wolf says, yes, we all are at times, and we need to seek humility, be intentionally humble, right? And we talked about, growing, and how do you continue to grow? How could you move forward? I want to stop for a second. I want you to just imagine that you worked the entire year to be intentionally humble. What do you think you could learn if you sought it? How far could this take you, whether it be physically, mentally, spiritually, financially, in your relationships? Being intentionally humble. We talked about Jeffrey using that line that a tiger really can't change its stripes. Well, how can a leopard change its spots? Well, the answer is by moving from one spot to another. Right? So you can do it. You got to be intentional to do it. Just saying you're going to do it is one thing. We always talk about these New Year's resolutions, and we were joking that, we hope your bad times go as fast as your New Year's resolutions, because we usually don't even make through the month of January. I think this is something, though, that kind of covers all the bases. Like, you throw all the other New Year's resolutions out the door, and you just work on being intentionally humble, and think of how far that could take you. So this is your challenge. I want you to think about each of these areas that we talked about: physically, mentally, spiritually, financially, in your relationships. We had a life scorecard, and I couldn't find it on the website earlier today. I'm going to ask, and by the way, I need to give a kudos to Chris McCormick, who's in our office, and he's behind the scenes. You probably don't even know who he is unless you've been a lifer at Kennedy Financial Services. But this man works every single week to edit every single one of these shows, help get the articles published, put the weekly life lessons out there, keep our content up to date. He does a phenomenal job, and just appreciative of him so much for his work behind the scenes and his humility and not needing all that recognition. But kudos to him. Thank you for all you do for our clients, for our listeners, to help them live life on purpose, Chris. We really appreciate that. But I'm going to ask him to put up that scorecard. This was done by Dr. John Rhodes several years ago, and it kind of gives you hey, score yourself, right? Here's where you are today. How are you doing? And then where do you want to be? And then kind of here's the steps to take. So it gives you it's a tool to start being intentionally humble. It's really, really cool that this went hand in hand. But this is your challenge. I want you to think about these areas: physically, mentally, spiritually, financially, your relationships, whatever they are. And I want you to ask yourself a question in each of these. And you might need to literally get a journal out and start doing this. Spend some time, focus time, schedule it this week. It is the new year, right? Do some reflection and ask yourself in each of these areas, what habit could you incorporate to be intentionally humble? Perhaps you'll read a book Maybe you can spend more time with our Father, our Lord, Jesus. Maybe you could humbly seek some guidance in your worst, weakest area, the area you need the most help. Sometimes just exposing that area is an embarrassing moment, but it can also be the most impactful for your entire life, right? Maybe you need to hire a coach, business coach, life coach, physical coach, marital coach, advisor, helping people live life on purpose since 1989. That's what we do best, right? Devote a night to simply listening rather than speaking. I have 2 young boys. Yeah, it's really hard not to speak and to listen all the time, right? But devoting a night just to listening to someone else talk. Ask deep questions. What about journey on a mission? Maybe it's a mission trip. Maybe it's a hike out into a place you've never hiked before, seeing a place you've never been before. How could you learn from those who are less fortunate than you? Maybe take up a new hobby. Do something challenging, right? So there's some ideas. The point is, if we're sitting here 1 year from today, and we're looking back over those last 12 months, what happened? Did you live with intentional humility? Are you smiling? Did you live life on purpose? I sure hope you did. After all, that's why we do this show every single week. God bless you. Happy New Year. And be sure to join us every week on Life Planning 101. We're going to intentionally make it our best year ever. And don't forget to give us your feedback at www.kennedy-financial.com or email us at lifeplanning@kennedy-financial.com. Again, God bless you all and Happy New Year, right here from Smart Money Group and Kennedy Financial Services in the great town of Eastland, Texas.
Thank you for joining us for Life Planning 101, brought to you by Smart Money Group and Kennedy Financial Services. If you have questions, you can email them to lifeplanning@kennedy-financial.com. Don't forget to learn how our sister company can assist you with all of your tax, bookkeeping, and consulting needs. You can find out more at briscoeandassociates.com. Be sure to tune in next week for more Life Planning 101. The opinions expressed herein are those of the firm and are subject to change without notice. The opinions referenced are as of the date of publication and are subject to change due to changes in the market or economic conditions and may not necessarily come to pass. Any opinions, projections, or forward-looking statements expressed herein are solely those of the author, may differ from the views or opinions expressed by other areas of the firm, and are only for general informational purposes as of the date indicated. Securities offered through Calton & Associates Incorporated, a registered investment advisor, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advisory services offered through Smart Money Group LLC. Kennedy Financial Services and Smart Money Group LLC are separate entities and are not owned or controlled by Calton & Associates Incorporated.